Kaur.
Rupi Kaur.
Rupi Kaur.
Rupi Kaur! Rupi Kaur, #1 New York Times best-selling author, illustrator of 2 internationally acclaimed collections of poetry, poet, artist, and inspiration. But how did such a legend come to light? Though she was born in India, she moved to Toronto, Canada when she was only 4 years old. She began to take writing seriously in the 7th grade when she won an essay and speech competition, also keeping a journal from then on. In high school, she began pairing her poems with drawings.
So, usually an illustration can take anywhere from an hour to, 5 hours. The time is really unique to each illustration, and how they're inspired is after a poem is written, I sort of close my eyes, and the first image that comes to my mind when I read that poem is exactly what I'll illustrate. So I'll get out my journal and I'll begin to sketch it out, and then later I'll make a digital copy.
In 2010, she published her high school works on her online blog using a pseudonym. Despite her initial fears, she finally attached her real name to her works in 2013, Rupi Kaur. On Tumblr, she brought back her visual arts paired with poetry and stuck to line drawings, which is now a style represented in her books. How did she grow up? From the day Kaur was born, she was fighting a battle. She had been born as a girl in South Asian culture where some practiced female feticide. In 1992, she was born in Punjab in northern India. To escape the genocide of Punjabi Sikhs, Kaur's family fled to Canada as refugees. The title of her book, Milk and Honey, described a terror as smooth as milk and as thick as honey. Milk and honey also have healing properties in her culture, which is also a reason why she titled it so. It was meant to be a source of healing for both her and her readers.
It's their feelings on paper, right? They've never been able to figure out what that pain or what that emotion inside is, even though it's so there all the time. And then they open this book and it's put right there in simple words, and that's such a cathartic experience for them. So that's what most people tell me, and they're just like, thank you. It makes sense now.
Here I am, know it's been a while.
Rupi Kaur wrote, illustrated, and self-published her first book of Milk and Honey, which has sold over 3 million copies, been translated into more than 35 languages, and became #1 New York Times bestseller, where it has spent more than 100 consecutive weeks at the top.
Author Rupi Kaur inspires people around the world with her powerful words. Kaur first rose to fame on Instagram in 2015 as a young and controversial voice of feminism. Now she uses social media to share her poetry with millions of followers. At just 25 years old, Kaur has already topped the New York Times bestseller list twice. Her first book, Milk and Honey, sold more than 3 million copies and was translated into more than 30 languages. Kaur's latest book, The Sun and Her Flowers, has already sold more than 1 million copies.
In 2017, Rupi Kaur wrote her second collection, The Sun and Her Flowers, published and later debuted #1 global bestseller. Within the first 3 months, it sold over 1 million copies.
It's real, but it still doesn't feel real.
She is recognized in Forbes 30 Under 30 and got shouted out as one of the top 100 women from BBC's award in the same year.
Feel the daylight on our skin.
Rupi Kaur's style of writing and even the format of her poems has fascinated many. One thing she has never lost sight of is her culture. She purposely uses all lowercase letters in her poetry to preserve her mother language, Punjabi. The Gurmukhi script has no lower or uppercase letters, and though it breaks a few rules in English, it reflects her mother tongue. She also enjoys how simple and symmetrical it makes her words look. There's a level of equality in that all letters are looked at the same way. Her letters follow the same message that she strives to send through her work, equality and fairness. Kaur has always tried to fight social taboos. In fact, one controversial aspect of her that caught a lot of people's attention occurred in March of 2015 when she posted a picture of her period-stained sweatpants online. While some were intrigued, others were outraged. It received so much backlash that it was taken down by Facebook. but Kaur refused to back down. She made headlines.
silence.
This goes to show how Kaur has always strived for social justice. Rupi Kaur has encouraged many girls to stand up tall, and many have to turn to her poetry for healing and strength. In an interview with famous actress Emma Watson, Watson expressed her awe for Rupi Kaur's inspirational words.
And it just kind of occurred to me that someone reading one of your poems on Instagram could mark the advent of their first interaction with a poem, which is kind of amazing and incredible. So congratulations on everything that you've done.
Rupi Kaur's poetry contains various themes such as immigration, her relationship with her mother, her family, love, and feminism. It's all from her own experience, so she has touched many people's hearts. Illustration expressed with poetry is another form of communication, which further maximizes what she wants to share. She mainly used her poetry and illustration as a form of communication, and her own method of communication is very effective. Also, her expression of her art through social media allows people to thoroughly understand her feelings and thoughts.
They convinced me I only had a few good years left before I was replaced by a girl younger than me. As though men yield power with age, but women grow into irrelevance. They can keep their lies, for I have just gotten started. I feel as though I just left the womb. My 20s are the warm-up for what I'm really about to do. Now wait till you see me in my 30s. Now that will be a proper introduction to the nasty, wild woman in me. How can I leave before the party started? Rehearsals begin at 40. I ripen with age. I do not come with an expiration date. And now, for the main event, curtains up at 50. Let's begin the show.